Hello and welcome back to the Long Live Rock and Roll podcast with myself, Laz Michaelides, and my co-host on the screen opposite me, Mr. Felipe Amarin. How you doing, bro?
Doing great, man, and you?
Excellent, yeah, very well, thank you. I'm pretty tired. I went to a gig last night in Kentish Town, and got back very, very late. But it was very cool. Yeah, I went to see a band called Mr. Bungle. Have you heard of them?
Oh yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Excellent. I've been into them in recent months. My best mate, they're his favourite band. He's gotten me into them over the last year or so. But yeah, they haven't played. It was amazing, yeah. But they haven't played in England since the 1990s. So it was special. First time in 20 years back in the UK. So yeah, really amazing gig. But yeah. Well, welcome back to the show. We're going to do the part where we ask something from you at the start rather than the end. And this is the normal thing we ask, that if you're watching us on YouTube, please like the video and please subscribe if you enjoy the content to stay up to date with new episodes and stuff that comes out. And if you're listening to us on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, please go down and just give us a quick review, hit the 5 stars, write a quick comment about us and let the people know what you like, because what that does for us is it boosts us up the charts, makes the algorithms work so that more people see us. So it takes 10 to 20 seconds of your time but does the world of good for us. So we'd really appreciate if you do that for us.
And if you're feeling really lazy and you still want to drop a review, just write good stuff.
That's it. That's all it takes. Yeah, it still does the job. Now, talking of good stuff, we are going to talk about some covers today in our part 4 of our covers versus originals series, where we take an original song, we take a cover of the song, and we discuss it and decide which is better. It's obviously all in good taste. Our opinions are not final, and we love it if you disagree with us, so just make sure you let us know what you think about our comments in the comments section if you're on YouTube. And what we're doing is we're tallying the scores up of what we've done, haven't we? Of whether we think the cover's better or the original. And the scores going into this episode is covers 14, originals 10. So the covers are edging it, yeah.
Really?
And we've got 3 songs to analyse and discuss today. We've got 1 song from Felipe, 1 song from myself, and 1 song from one of our listeners, who I'm really ashamed to say, I don't remember who it was. It might be Dom. So Dom, if you're listening, I think this is yours. So should we start off with the first song?
Yes.
Excellent. So the first song is Felipe's choice of Hound Dog by Elvis Presley. So, yeah, the original was done by Big Mama Thornton, released in 1952, and Elvis covered it 4 years later. And it's a very famous song. I'm sure you all know it. But if you don't, any song we mention will be in the playlist, which you can find at the bottom of the show notes, which we have the cover and the original and any other song we mention. So, Felipe, please crack on, man. Do you know what? First, tell us why this song, and then tell us your thoughts on the cover.
Maybe because I've played it a million times, and every time someone says, "Oh, let's do Hound Dog," and I'm like, "Which version of it?" Because everyone has done it, and it's a phenomenal blues classic, really, isn't it? It's one of those mandatory songs if you want to play blues and rock and roll, and or if you want to understand the style, so you got to know the song is well, the king himself decided to record it, so that's
yeah,
that's a reason for you to listen to it. Although, of course, Elvis was famous for recording other people's stuff. He wasn't a songwriter, he was an interpreter. He would go after the best possible songs, and this song was already a hit. People loved it, but he made it even bigger and more famous.
What struck me about the listening to the original was how different it was from the how different it was from the cover, because Elvis's version is the one that myself and I'm sure many of you guys have heard first off. But when I went, and it's so obviously rock and roll, isn't it? It's straight. It's just it's straight. It's energetic. It's got Elvis's sort of characteristic vocal style. But when I went to listen to the original, I did not expect to hear the swing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Quickly, by the way, I think we've put 2 of Big Mama Thornton's songs in the playlist. Now, I think the one that's 2 minutes 52 seconds long, I think that's the original. But as we know from those times, an artist might record 2 songs. There might be 2 different sessions.
And I think she probably re-recorded it after Elvis made it more famous. I think that was it.
Possibly, yeah. So you've
Yeah.
got
So
two
she, yeah.
versions of Big Mama Thornton's. We're going with the 2 minutes 52 seconds one as the original. I think I've done some reading, and that's the one. But
Yeah.
sorry,
So
Felipe, please
yeah,
carry on.
short story on that one. So that song wasn't written by Big Mama herself, but the songwriters who wrote the song for her, they met her, say we want to work with you, write songs for you to sing, and they wrote that song specifically for her, thinking of her. They looked at her and said, "Well, you look like someone who can get really mad when someone upsets you. You look like a really strong character, and you look like someone who'd say you're nothing but a motherfucker." But so we're not going to say that. So we're going to put hound dog instead. And they wrote the song trying to sound like trying to say the words that she would say to a man when she gets really upset. So it was written specifically for her. And she has the angry kind of vocals that suits the song perfectly. And I really, really dig her version. I think it's just so.
That's really interesting you say that, because some of my notes here is that um, Elvis's version, once you dig into the lyrics, and then it's not like they're cryptic lyrics, we know what they're talking about,
really.
but Elvis is a little too happy and energetic, isn't it? It's a little like the style of his vocals and the performance, as brilliant as it is, don't really suit the lyrics, but she sounds angry. She sounds pissed off, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And I think the styles is much more fitting to the lyrics in the
Yeah,
original.
I think with Elvis, it sounds more like a piss take, isn't it? It's like it sounds more like funny, and it's more I don't know, more comic in a certain way. And it's very cheerful the way it
bit like
sings,
a parody.
yeah, exactly. And it swings in a certain like in a very predictable way. Let's put it like that. The groove is really steady. The band is doing a great job, of course. And they play it. There's a drum, a really loud, the snare drum fill at the end of every verse, leading to the next one. So there's this drum fill, stop, start again. I would say that his version is kind of predictable in a good way. It's well done, well arranged, and it's clearly designed to be a hit.
Yeah,
That's the thing. He got a song that was already a really strong, powerful song, and turned into something more commercial. I think that's the issue that some people might have with Elvis's version if they know the original.
Yeah,
It's designed to be commercial.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think on both versions of the Big Mama Thornton song, I was really fascinated by the not the reliance, but the importance of the relationship of her vocals and the guitar.
Yeah.
Because in both of her versions, there's a sort of guitar solo. One of them, there's a call and response at the beginning, and then a solo in both of them. And I loved it. I just felt like it was a bit of a back and forth. It felt more personal, and the whole recording as well. The claps in the version, the swing, the vocals, definitely bluesy, and just the way that she worked with the guitar, I thought was a really nice, take on it. Whereas Elvis's version, although there is a guitar solo, have you noticed how in the mix the vocal harmonies are so much louder than the guitar?
Yeah, they have harmonies during the guitar
and
solo.
The harmonies are more prominent. It's like they wanted that to be the attention, which I thought was quite interesting.
It is an interesting arrangement, all of them. But I think that, out of Big Mama Thornton's versions, there's one that she doesn't swing until the guitar solo.
That's the longer
really
one.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's the long one with a full band, like more than arrangement. That's not the original one. And the band swings for the solo and goes back to a more straight groove during her vocals. So that is it. That's another interesting one. Whilst the original sounds a lot more like a rumba to me than like a rock and roll or blues.
Yeah,
and
swung a bit.
Yeah, it's a swung kind of rumba. That's how it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
But I think here's the thing. As I said, we've mentioned a lot of the arrangements in Elvis's version. Her version is mainly about the vocals.
Yeah, and the lyrics.
She takes the lead, and she makes the lyrics really, really strong and powerful. I think she makes the message more clear, and it's not a happy one.
I agree completely.
So do you have a favorite?
As we do, we're going to ask. I'll go first then. I will choose. Elvis's version is iconic, but I think the original version's better. So my score goes to the original.
I'm with you on that one.
Okay.
I just want to add that Elvis made a lot of traditional blues music and early rock and roll music. He made it accessible to a lot of people. And I think his
Yeah.
performance is just, there's a reason why he became the king of rock and roll, although he could put Chuck Berry by his side on that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for bigger audiences, Elvis knew better than anyone else how to communicate. And I think, he was a master of turning anything into pure gold. He did that with a lot of songs, but in this case, no one can beat Big Mama Thornton. She is the song. She is the lyrics. No one can beat her on that one.
He comes close, but he doesn't quite eclipse it, does he?
No.
Okay, on
for once in his life, he couldn't beat
no, for once in his life, he's second best. Okay, on to the second song, which was chosen by me. So the song is I Only Want to Be With You, with the original by Dusty Springfield from 1963, and the cover by country metal band called Volbeat in their album that was released in 2005. So I'll start off by saying that Volbeat are a really catchy band. They're probably, my top 20 metal bands. I really enjoy listening to them. They have this habit of, they mix some very heavy, almost thrash metal riffs with country singing. And someone, or I say someone, it's not like only one person has done it, a section of the internet call them Elvis metal because there are a few songs they do. For those not watching, Felipe almost spat his drink out when he heard the word Elvis metal. But yeah, and they do that. Go and listen to songs like Sad Man's Tongue, $16. They've got stuff that's much more focused than just metal. And when I say metal music, but with the same kind of vocals, but they do sort of really add in that country twang. So when I heard this, I found it really interesting because the covers they do are normally country covers, but they kind of went for like a 60s pop thing. So when I heard it, a few things that really interested me. The catchy riff in the intro, they actually gave it a riff. Dusty doesn't have a riff because pop music in the 60s, it would be like, right, 10-second intro, let's get straight into the verse, or start off with a chorus. But they've done that that I found really catchy, and it gave their cover a personality right from the get-go. I thought it was short and sweet and does a great job at metaling up the song while still paying homage to the original.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's a double kick drum going on on the chorus. It gets quite heavy. To be fair, I knew the original and I've listened to it again. And Dusty Springfield, she's got something interesting because she sounds very American, right? I'm not talking about the accent. I'm talking about the music style, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the sort of stuff that was being played by American artists at the time, and she was probably the best female British singer in that genre. And her song made it. That song made it to number 4, I think, in the charts. Did really well.
Yeah, and it was her debut.
First single did really well, made her name. But it's just. I wouldn't imagine that song played heavy, but a lot of bands have been doing this, recording stuff in a heavy way. But as soon as the riff starts, I don't know what to say about that one. It's just like it has nothing to do. I loved it.
Oh, okay.
Nothing. It's so far from the original that could have been a disaster, but it's not. And I think they clearly don't take themselves too seriously, right? So
they're a fun band. They enjoy what they do. They write heavy. Like when I say heavy metal, I mean heavy music. But he has fun over it. 99% of the vocals is him singing in that same tone. They love melodies.
I think that's what makes it special to me, and I think, the vocals remind me of Ozzy Osbourne a lot. His solo stuff.
That's really
what it is, but it does remind me of him.
I never thought of that, but now that you've said it, I can see where you're coming from.
Can't tell exactly what it is, but it does remind me of Ozzy. The production is great. The sounds are great. Everything. Yeah,
I was going to say that the music is simple enough in terms of metal, but it's simple enough that it works for the style of song they're covering. Yeah. And I think his vocals have enough passion and emotion in them to convey the message of the song.
Yeah.
And here's my point. Do you know what? I'll say that after, actually. The intro of the song, didn't that just give you Motown vibes?
It does.
with
Yeah.
the drumming, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 and then
Yeah.
the horns as well with that little
Yeah.
melody.
Yeah.
But I think Dusty's song has such a
That's what's
fantastic.
American about it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. The original has a fantastic way of just sprinkling in little textures
Yeah.
that are so subtle. In the intro, the horns,
Yeah.
and in the bridge, the violins. And then
Yes.
later on in the solo set, there's a solo violin section. And I find that they're not too loud. They're not taking over the song. It's not what your attention's meant to be on, but it really does give off that Motown vibe that I really loved and really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's great, and she's got the perfect voice for that genre. And
Well,
yeah,
you said that, and this is my final point about this was that, and this will actually go towards the decision I make. I think when you think about the lyrics of the song and what she's singing, as great as Volbeat's cover is, as a straight heterosexual male, when I hear Dusty singing those words, a tiny part of me is like, do you know what I mean? When I'm like, oh, is she flirting with me? do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? As in the way she's singing the lyrics. Do you understand what I mean? Have I conveyed that properly?
I try to not laugh so loud on the microphone, but it's just impossible.
Does that make sense?
It does.
That she is an attractive pop star woman singing lyrics to me that are kind of almost like enticing me in, being like, well, hold on, I didn't think I was attracted to you, but now, like just because of the way she's singing. And I think
like
that plays
a personal
part.
thing, isn't it?
But that's what pop music. You think about the Beatles, singing about, and all those teenage girls back in the '60s who would scream and faint because they thought that the Beatles were singing each line to them. And it's almost like the reverse of this with Dusty Springfield.
And maybe there's something about her look as well that makes you feel like she's a nice person and she would approach you and talk
nice
to you
person, attractive, lovely singing voice, and the lyrics as well. It just, you know what, there's something that she gets an extra point because she's kind of, I'll use the word again, flirting with a listener.
Just flirting with the listener. Exactly. She does it really well.
Yeah. Excellent. Go on then. So give us your choice. What was your favourite?
So my favourite was the cover.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. I'm really surprised, but I'm brilliant. Okay, well, my favorite was the original. I love the Motown vibe we get. I love the horns and the violins. They bring such a lovely additional texture that you don't think it needs until you imagine the song without it. But I must say, I think Volbeat have done a fantastic cover as well. Really good. Very close.
I had to say, I love the song, so obviously.
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just the cover was so different. And so when they started, I said, there's no way you're going to do this to this song. It's going to just sound awful when I heard the riff.
They do it justice.
And then when the vocal starts, you think, okay, you're not taking yourself seriously. You're just having a laugh.
Yeah.
So they made me have a laugh.
Yeah.
So that's why I enjoyed it. It made my day listen to that song.
Excellent stuff. Okay, on to the final one for this episode. Now we have the song Simple Man, covered Deftones on their cover album in 2011, and originally done by Lynyrd Skynyrd in 1973 from the album pronounced Leonard Skynyrd. So yeah, and this was the one that one of our listeners chose. So do you want to kick off, Felipe? What are your thoughts on it? Pick one and then say your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, they until the vocal starts, they pretty much sound the same, right? You might agree with me.
Agreed.
The tempo is the same. I'm not quite sure about the key.
Yeah, it's the same.
Same key. The production is a bit different, but the guitar vibes and the drum fills are pretty much the same. The solo is pretty much identical, so they didn't change much. They tried to stay loyal to the arrangements.
It's very close, isn't it? It's very similar.
Very, very close. It's like I actually like covers when people don't try to change much, because if you try too hard, you might make something make it sound too different and sometimes unpleasant.
Agreed.
But when you try to sound the same, you will sound different, because no musician can play exactly like another musician.
Yeah. And even down to things like technological advancements. So, sorry, just to make a point, did you have something else to say?
Well, just say it.
No, I was just going to say that in terms of technological advancements, I think that the production of Deftones, the overproduction of it compared to 1973 is what does it a disservice. there's a bit too much effects on the vocals. The
Yeah,
guitars are so produced that when he's playing the verse in Leonard Skinner, you can hear every note he's picking. And
yeah.
in Deftones, it's a bit more subdued because
Yeah,
of the production on the guitar, on the bass. So I think technology's actually taken away from a song on this point.
it does sometimes. Modern recordings have a lot of compression because everything needs to sound the same. That's the concept. And I think the only thing that is actually played or executed in a different way is the vocals, isn't it? Everything else is kind of trying to be like the original. The singer does his own take on it. I think I wouldn't go that far in changing a vocal line of a song the way it does. I think that's you got to be a good singer to do something like that, and you got to be really self-confident to perform a classic tune like that in a different way. Sounds
Yeah,
darker to me than the original.
I just I,
Sounds sad and dark, whilst the original for me is a little bit more optimistic.
and hopeful. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think what confused me most in regards to the point you've just made is if the rest of the song and the rest of the instruments, they've made a point of keeping it really similar. Why change the final aspect?
maybe that was the point. If they changed everything, it would be too much. And they said, what if we just play like Leonard Skinner and have our singer doing his thing on
Yeah,
top of it? And you
interesting.
know, you never know. But I like the fact that he tried to do his own thing, and he is not trying to copy someone else's voice because that is
Yeah,
really bad.
and the
I
voice.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then the voice is always the personality of the band,
Yeah,
the strongest one because it's the
yeah.
one that listeners resonate with most. You know.
Yeah, and again, everyone can relate to that kind of songs. A lot to do with family relationships. There's a lot to do with, you know, growing up and learn from your mum or from your dad and learn how to be a good person.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a really beautiful story, really is.
Mm,
And apparently, the song was written in 1 hour only. The guitarist and the singer were talking about one has lost his mum, the other one has lost his grandmother,
ah,
and they wrote the song about the importance of those women in their lives and how they've learned from them. So it's really beautiful. But then if you want to do your take on Leonard Skinner again, you you're touching a territory that's not really easy. They're such an American institution, are they? Like they represent a lot of that culture, a lot of that thing. But in this song particularly, I would say that the lyrics are so personal and so strong, and I believe it's like someone talking about something bad in a positive way, talking about the good things he's learned from someone who's no
mm.
longer with him. And I think it's really hard to interpret that, even if you've been through the same sort of stuff.
Do
So
you feel the cover loses that a bit?
I think the cover loses that because the cover made me sad, whilst the original makes me hopeful.
That's really, really interesting.
That's what I would say.
That's a great point. I didn't even consider it like that, but you're actually right. Yeah, great point, man. Just a few other points I wanted to say. What have I got here? Right, I think Deftones actually did a really good job in transferring it stylistically. I
Mhm.
think if you hadn't heard the original, you would assume that it's a hard rock slash metal song and not a country rock song. Do you know what I mean? There are
Yeah,
some songs that are banned. Let's take Zeppelin for example. I think in a song in an album like Led Zeppelin 2, it's very easy to hear that A Whole Lot of Love is an original. What is and What Should Never Be is an original. Then you get to like Bring It On Home and the Lemon Song, and you're like, okay, there's something here that has essences of what came before.
yeah,
But Deftones have done a really good job to make it sound, even though they haven't changed much, and maybe this is where the production was a positive thing.
yeah.
It
Because
sounds
you can
metal.
play in this. Yeah, you can play in the same way without sounding just like the
Yeah.
original. Yeah,
But the end of the song, I want to give Deftones credit here. The ending of the song, there's something about it that hits harder than the original. Again, maybe
mm.
production, maybe because you've got a metal band doing this section, and there was just something that I thought grooved a bit better about the Deftones ending compared to the Lynyrd Skynyrd. But that's not going to change my vote. It's just one of the little
So
characteristics.
what's your vote? I think that's the one we're not being really clear about this.
So Lazarus has gone for a full sweep of originals today. I preferred the original of Lynyrd Skynyrd's. There is something about the rawness of it, the way that the vocal delivery, the minimal production for the time, the fact that you can hear every note he picks on the guitar. That's a massive important factor to me, because I can imagine a man, as you said, sitting there talking about the loss of his mother, picking that guitar and singing it out. Whereas I know, and I don't know, again, I don't know if the Lynyrd Skynyrd singer played guitar, but I do know that Deftones have a guitarist and they have a singer. So I know that the Deftones singer isn't there playing the guitar.
It's the same with
so Lynyrd Skynyrd have a singer,
singing
who doesn't play guitar.
Singers, yeah.
Okay,
I don't think he was playing this song.
That doesn't actually matter to my point, because I can still imagine one man singing and playing.
It does sound like singer-songwriter kind of stuff.
That's the personality that the song of the original pulls out. And I think the Deftones did a great job. Like I said, I thought that ending grooved really nicely, and the ending hit harder than the Lynyrd Skynyrd one. But as a full piece, I think Lynyrd Skynyrd gets my vote. What about you?
Yeah, Lynyrd Skynyrd as well. Yeah, just because it's a lovely sunny day today, and I'd rather be hopeful than sad. So
that's so sweet. Excellent. Well, this is really interesting, actually, because we've come to the end of the episode now. We've done our 3 covers, and going into it, it was covers 14, originals 10. Going out of it, going into part 5, it's covers 15, originals 15.
Oh,
so the score's now balanced. So
that's great.
The age-old question of what's better, the cover of the original. We've done 4 episodes now, and we're actually stuck, which is really good, because it just means we've got to do more episodes.
Exactly. We have to get to the point when we analysed about 100 songs, then you can actually have a fair score, and you can say if normally covers are better than the original.
We're still early in the process. Let's put it that way.
Really early.
Anyway.
And thanks to everyone who collaborated with suggestions. We're always taking suggestions and always using them in the show. So,
and we've still got loads more. So if you want to stay up to date with our stuff, I already said, like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on the Apple and Spotify stuff. But we're also on Facebook and Instagram. We're not doing a lot there. We're just posting when the episodes come out, so you guys are informed about it. However, on Instagram, we do some stories, so make sure you follow us there, and it will include things like, tell us what covers you want us to talk about, because we did that a few weeks ago and we got loads of replies, and that's all gone into a playlist. So when we do these episodes, Felipe chooses one, I choose one, and then we take one of our listeners as well. So if you want to get one of your favourite covers in on the show, make sure you let us know. You can either message us, email us, or keep an eye out on our stories for when we ask the question again. But thank you very much for joining us. I did all the terms and conditions at the start. Please like, subscribe, and give us the review and everything. It does us the world of good. I'll say it again, 20 seconds of your time, but really, really means that we'd really appreciate it. So thank you. Stick around, keep up to date with our stuff, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, guys, thanks for being with us one more time. Keep on rocking, everyone, and don't do anything I wouldn't do.
And as usual, take care and long live rock and roll.